8 o'clock. There you go. Thank you. All right, let's go.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the December 12th, 2025 meeting of the Long Range Planning Committee. Our first item this morning will be our roll call, I guess.
All right, we've got Alan Paul,
Here,
Rick Shanae,
Always 7 minutes late.
Peter Freilinger,
Here,
Robin's not here, Portia,
Here.
Jean Marie,
Here.
Judy's not here, Rachel's here, and Corey
Here.
and Michelle are here with us. So, Jean Marie, you are a voting member. You're moved up.
Okay.
First
Until
item or next-
Rick shows up.
yes,
next item on the agenda this morning is the approval of minutes of November the 14th.
move to approve.
We have a move to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We thank you. Any discussion, omissions, changes? Seeing or hearing none, I'll call a vote. Also would like to note that Mr. Shanae is here.
7 minutes late.
It's okay, we're all.
So I don't have to vote now?
I don't see if there's a problem if she does continue.
For sure.
Okay, all right.
So-
I wasn't sure what you wanted me to do. Okay.
Oh, no, just continue to vote. So all in
Okay.
favor of passing the minutes of November the 14th,
Aye.
please raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye, we got 3, we got 4.
I abstain. I was not at that meeting, I think.
Okay, so we have 3 yeses, no nos, and 1 abstention.
All right, sounds good.
Actually, 4 yeses.
4 yes, yeah, 4 yes.
4 yeses. Item number 4, general public comment for anything that's not covered on the agenda. Do we have public who would like to make any public comments?
I don't see anyone.
Okay, I will move on to item 5. Review comprehensive plan status and provide input to town council for goal setting. Autumn, would you like to introduce this?
Sure, so town council every January, they have a goal setting meeting. They had their meeting with department heads last Monday. Or this past Monday, and they always ask for input from the committees and groups to see if there's anything that you all recommend moving up on the list. And in your packet, I included the portion of the presentation about that we had about a month ago now for all of the different plans and the summaries of everything. In that included all of the status updates for the comprehensive plan, recommendations and strategies. We won't go over that 45 slide document, but it was really just for you to have for information. But there is one particular slide, the comprehensive plan summary, and those are really the things that are left to do. And so if you'd like to go over those and provide some input to council, or if you have other things that to provide input to council, that would be great. And I'm sure Corey and Michelle can expand on that if they like.
Okay,
I'm gonna pull it up really quick. Did anyone get a chance to look at the comprehensive plan summary?
the answer is yes, I
Yeah.
did, but what I did not do was any kind of prioritization.
Okay,
And, I did as well. The thing that I saw on the end here, I know these were pulled out of the, action item list that was sort of at the end of that, but, the ordinance updates, while it was not, an explicit item, there is an implicit, outcome from the comprehensive plan that was effectively a review of the residential and rural, zones. And it was kind of a comprehensive set of discussion about growth, about other things. And again, it was not an explicit bullet point item on the list. but it would be something to potentially ask the town council to consider, which is prioritization of changes to the zoning ordinance for the for the residential and the rural zones.
But we're already doing that.
Yeah, no,
That was included in progress.
okay, so
So we're-
that's what I was trying to
This
figure out
is
on
the
the summary
stuff-
versus.
This is the stuff that, why don't this let me share? This is the stuff that we have not started yet. So
Gotcha,
there's a
okay.
lot of things in progress and
Okay,
those
got
are
it.
included, and that's included, like all the
Yeah.
things we've been doing the last several months.
Okay, and so I guess from the feedback from us, I would love us to give the feedback that we'd love to have them prioritize from an ordinance and from a town council perspective, changes to the zoning ordinances here. And part of that, you know, it's been 5 years since the plan was approved. We're 5 years into, I think it's a 15-year cycle for the comp plan, usually 10. So that feels like we should be starting to make some progress on updates to the zoning ordinance. You know, just, you're halfway through that cycle.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So this is what we're talking about, just the comp plans, summary, everyone.
You throw this like, pardon me, advanced community center discussion. I think we did. I think they did do that. It didn't go anywhere, but I shouldn't say that. That's not fair. But you know, we're not building a new community center right now, but we did do it. Pardon me. Ditto the library expansion, although the library, you know, as a trustee, I can say the library is starting to launch an effort to look for a 2028 sort of timeframe for a library expansion vote.
Did anyone online have any comments about, rolling up goals to council?
I had some things, but I was looking this morning to find my notes and I can't find them, so I have to pull back on that. But I thought the presentation to council was excellent, and there were several things that occurred to me in that, so I have to go back and look at it. Thank you.
Okay.
Just a thought, so the council will meet to go over the current status of matters under.
Well, we've already gone over, I presented this in part of our growth workshop, all
Right,
of
I
the
saw that.
plans. But we talked about all the plans, so council, they convene in January and then they, as a body, go over and create goals for the year. And they may or may not follow these plans, they may go, have some other ideas, or they may really focus on the different plans that we have in place.
They did, it's just the last time around. It seemed like it took forever for us to implement the goals from the prior comps. Which is neither here nor there, it takes time, but might be a good idea of starting in January. We at least, or council at least looks at these and says, they're done, not done, you know, under continual work, whatever, just so we have a current list of where we are with respect to the various things and said the town should be.
And they've already done that.
Did they do that in the last, so I watched the two.
Well, yes, I presented it for the vulnerability assessment, the comp plan, the transportation plan, the parks and facilities plan, and the open space master plan. And we went over the summary of all the different things that were left, where we were with status with all those plans and that.
So then the things that aren't yet done,
Is this list?
just this list.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm with you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
But the council's meeting on Saturday, January 10th to go through a goal setting process. So it's coming right up.
Okay. Good, thank you.
And I'll add as well that, and I might have mentioned this before, but there seems to be pretty good consensus on the council that we want to try to really focus on a relatively small number of kind of high priority goals for this for this coming council year. So we'll be kind of hashing all that out, between now and mid-January. And as Michelle said, we have the goal setting workshop on the 10th. And, I'll just emphasize as well that even if something doesn't end up rising to the level of being highlighted as a council goal, it doesn't mean that it can't end up on our agenda. We certainly had a couple of things that percolated last year that that had not been in the goals. But I think it's safe to say that we're going to be revisiting the short-term rentals in some form. We obviously have some issues related to LD 1829 that we need to be able to tackle as well. We definitely appreciate the input.
I guess that latter one, Corey, maybe not to steal a thunder, but from a zoning board perspective, that's the only one that we're really concerned with, is tell us what to do.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So related to item 5.02 or 5.01, because it sounds like it's crossing over.
5.01 is what we're doing right now.
Right. But he was talking about the zoning districts, which is,
Right, or
What's
LD
coming up at-
1829, that's even different. This,
No, this would be, I'm just adding the zoning board comment for 501,
all right,
because we don't really have another forum for the zoning board to do it.
Yep.
So I'm just
okay,
putting that marker down for and for Corey and Michelle.
all right, so do you have what you need?
Sure.
All right. Item 5.02 is the continued discussion concerning zoning districts related to the comp plan goals with a focus on uses. And again, I don't know, we have no outside folks here, so no public comment, but we'll move on. So Autumn, if you would.
okay, so in your packet, we now have 9 districts from our last, and Michelle, just to catch you up really quickly, and I'm happy to talk to you offline. We've been working for the last few months, creating, if you will, our perfect zoning districts if we were gonna start over, not thinking about where they are or how they relate to specific things that we have in town, but really trying to create an ideal.
Like a
And
best
we're
case
really-
scenario.
Yes, and we're getting close to being done because we have 25 zoning districts and overlays now, and we're trying to, part of the comp plan goal was to consolidate and really create some consistency. And
Okay.
so we started doing it from the bottom up, and it was tricky, so we started doing it like top down. Let's just think hypothetically, theoretically, and so we've created these 9 districts, and then after we get through with this, we're going through the uses as well. We're going to go back and analyze our existing districts compared to these and see where we can't make those further align and consolidate.
And the
Right.
one comment I want to make sure we don't forget about this one, it's we have a single rural district right now, the R2 district, which in this work really splits out to 3 districts: a conservation, a rural activity district, and a rural residential district. And that's trying to address some of the problems that we have currently, especially I'll say that the zoning board in navigating all of the special use permitted, non-permitted, and special use permitted activities within the R2 district versus what's really happened in a lot of the R2 district, especially west of the Turnpike, which is a lot of residential development. So having those 3 split out, the rest of this is really a consolidation effort, and I really applaud that. But for the rural one, I also applaud the idea that we're splitting it out to
Right.
different ones. So thank you.
Yeah, because Michelle, half of our town is zoned rural farming, and it's
Right.
just this one big bucket of, and so our last meeting, we separated it out further to create this conservation district. So what we've been trying to do is we go through and we did a little exercise, and we created character SERBs. Characters really the gist of the district, and then SERBs are the people in town or in the region or even state that it serves, and then the types of uses. And we started out, I told Helen I'm gonna make us one of those live, laugh, love signs when we get done. But we started out with live, play, learn, and shop, just these very high level uses. And then we've narrowed that down. And so we sort of did these like, yes, you should live there and you should play outside there. And so play became outside and inside. So a park versus a restaurant.
Mm.
And so this is, I think we're at the point where we're done with the 9 districts. And so we have conservation, and that's really just focused on conservation. And then we have this rural farm activity district. And this is, we really have been recognizing the need to allow farms to do other things to maintain viabilities. And so we recognize those are really different from residential areas in the rural locations. So then we have rural residential, which is really just what it says, large lot residential homes. And then suburban residential is really that we have a lot of this too. It's sort of your cul-de-sac neighborhood, just your basic neighborhood.
Yep.
And then neighborhood residential, the local example would be some of Pleasant Hill, maybe Maple Ave. You get a little closer together, a little bit more centrally located. And then this neighborhood center district is really a combination. So maybe you have those neighborhoods, but you have a corner store. So you have more facilities, so you're not having to drive as far. And then a community or a town center would be really where you're starting to get your Hannaford and your services for your town, and people are moving to those, and it's less housing and it's more commercial. And let's see if I can get my screen any bigger. There we go. And then we have this regional center, and that's really about it's a hub for people to come up from all over the area. That's like a Costco. And I use a grocery store example, like the neighborhood center grocery store would be like Lois's or On the Vine. And then a community center grocery store is Hannaford. And then the regional center, like I just mentioned, is Costco. So that's kind of the scale. And then business and industrial center, that is really where we have all of our industrial uses and high intensity manufacturing and things like that, where people really generally aren't located.
And the other one we talked about, we wanted to kind of encourage at the neighborhood residential level, where the grocery stores like the Higgins Beach grocery store.
Like smaller markets.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Yep. So I don't know if you all had any, I think we're at a good, this is sort of the high level roll up. And so I added a little bit of, I looked at the height and I changed that a little bit for rural residential and suburban residential down to 3 stories. Because we started talking more about height in the other districts, and it didn't make sense to have these be 4 stories if we weren't really trying, because we were trying to create a little bit of character as well.
The one comment I had is, Portia mentioned this last time. Maine has a lot of taller residential structures. And as I've been driving around lately, it's been starting, a lot of them are Victorian. Or they're like, they've got the widow's walk kind of things on top. They end up being 4 stories, and that's the only thing I'd say about the 3 stories to 4 stories. I agree with you, and I think of 3 stories as being quite high. But as I've been driving around for the last month after Portia's comment, suddenly now I'm noticing all these 4-story.
Are they 4 or just 3?
Yeah,
you notice them as 3.
They tend to be 3, and then they'll have the little widow's peak, the little it's a very Maine. Exactly, and they'll have the and you know, I always talk, that's where the widows waited for the ship
For
captains to come home
they
from
could
sea.
see out over the seas.
Exactly, so, but yeah, and they're there, and as I look at it, it's like, yeah, that's a main structure, so I'm not saying I
We
agree with you.
really have a lot of those.
No, I don't think we do it. I've been noticing more in Portland and probably,
Yeah.
but as we talked one thing about Scarborough observing sort of Maine standards. And so it is kind of a Maine thing and a Maine coastal thing. in
Well,
particular, so.
and maybe that comes up more when we get into the design standard
Sure,
conversation.
yeah.
Because like in my mind, having those is perfectly acceptable for existing, but if I don't suspect someone's going to build a 4-story, a new 4-story home with a widow's peak wall at the top.
Don't disagree with you. And I
But
was
that's, so I was
in favor of the 3 stories last.
yeah.
Like
But
I
so
said,
that's
yeah,
why I was thinking, oh, 3 stories, but
Yeah.
I think we can talk about that more it's more about character.
Yep.
So Michelle, this group is also talking, we've talked about it in the past and we want to get this cleaned up, but then our next step, we have in our commercial design standards placeholders for different villages in town. So we have we have sort of base design standards, materials and roof styles and whatnot. But we want to get down more detailed for the different villages. And so we create really these character nodes. But that's the next step. We got to get this cleaned up and then we'll do that. So we cross over a lot with style sometimes and use.
Autumn, that was really helpful. Two things. I will set up time with you. I don't want to waste the rest of the group's time on me getting up to speed on where we are. So I apologize, but I'll set up time with you because I have a lot of questions for you. And you're very helpful and do an amazing job. Two, I have to get off at 8:30. I have to go to a client. I'm at an IDEX working. It's scheduled. So I just wanted to introduce myself at least to the group and sit in for a half an hour. And my question is, for example, there's a lot of hubbub going on right now about this potential Arby's that's going in on Route 1. And when we take a look at, you're talking about styles and roof and presentation. Is that something we've discussed? Because I know when the McDonald's wanted to go into Freeport like 30 years ago, they have very strict standards about it has to fit into the sort of, New England feel of the town or however you want to classify it. And when I look at Route 1 and look at like the car dealerships that have gone in and like, Scarborough grounds, and it feels like we've really upped our game and it looks really great. So I just don't know, like it's, and then I think about putting an Arby's in the middle of a bunch of sort of upgrading architectural design and don't know where that fits.
So I'm going to be perfectly candid. We have basic design standards, but we don't have anything that's going to make Arby's look good.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just going to say it. We just have, you have to use high quality materials and there's some window transparency, but we allow flat roofs. We allow, all colors. So yes.
Okay.
We need more work on the design standards because there are areas of Route 1 especially where you could pick out some character and say, oh, that's our character. We're doing white clapboard siding and red brick and we're going with that. And you have to have a pitch roof instead of a flat roof. But you could go to other parts of the town and say, oh, we're doing sort of this, I don't know, Swedish sort of mountain thing. And it's different, but we don't have that in place yet. That's our next step.
As we think about this, is the Arby's in the Oak Hill town and village, or is it just outside of it? It feels like it's
It's a sketch plan to.
No, I know.
For Little Dolphin area. It's right there. It's
but is that
TVC.
that is in the TVC too? Okay, got it. Because we've normally talked about the idea of using design standards within the TVCs. Just want to make sure it was in a TVC.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So it's definitely part of that Oak Hill area. And I'll also say another thing that we've been doing, Michelle and everybody, Karen and Helen and I have been walking after these meetings Route 1. And really, we won't be doing it again until it gets warmer. So we've made it from the north, from South Portland line to Scarborough Downs Road. But we've been going through and sort of identifying opportunities and character and sidewalk missing links and pocket park potentials and all sorts of things. So we have, Helen's been creating a story map with images. So we have a really good idea when we do get started on these character districts and the sidewalks and trails master plan. We have a lot of good information.
Plus, we've seen a lot of things.
Plus, we've seen a lot of things that you would never see just driving by. So we have a lot of work to do. But and I apologize, I did not tell, I was so frazzled trying to get in here because I was running behind. Michelle Hayes is our new counselor. Corey Fellows is still our counselor liaison, and then Michelle is our new alternate. She took the place of John on this committee. So.
I guess my only comment is as we look at the neighborhood residential section, I see that one of the changes you made was that some exceptions could be made for 4 stories. And as we continue to move forward and we know that there will be growth in the future, it's not like there's not gonna ever be any, but there will be some. And I just would like or hope this committee moving forward doesn't lose fact that if, of the point that we are going to need to do things about density. And as we move forward, I don't think there's a lot of choice in that issue. So limiting that to a 3-story, that area, and I know that you haven't done that, but instead of making it a special exception, I would almost like to see that area going to something that might be 4-story, not to be requiring any kind of special exceptions. We're gonna get more apartments, we're gonna get more condo type living coming into the town. And I don't know that we should restrict that area. I personally see density as being one of our biggest issues, and we've lost some opportunity for that already. Where it would have been, in my eyes, acceptable. And I'd hate to see us lose more.
Yeah, if
And I won't have to
can I
voice in the
add
near
something?
future.
Can I add something to that, please?
Sure.
I would suggest that people, when you get a minute, to drive through so-called downtown Falmouth, that area that it's on Route 1, I think. I forget what routes or what when I get out of Scarborough, but anyway, and see what they've done. I think that they've done a really nice job because they've got a couple of condo apartment buildings, and I can't remember how many stories they are, but it's very well done. Just so you can see how it could look. And I don't know. I would just suggest people do that just so you can see it in real life and not, oh my God, it's gonna look really bad. So that's just mine.
We actually did that. Anne Marie, we did that, I want to say last summer, last spring. We
Okay.
did a bus tour around towns,
Yes.
Falmouth, South Portland, Portland. So we've looked at that, but thank you.
But if everyone, didn't go, I wasn't able to go on the bus tour, but if anyone hasn't done it, I suggest they do it. And I suggest you talk to your friends or fellow, you guys on the council, get your counselors to do that too.
Yeah, I agree. It's good to for people to get a little bit of a frame of reference and some real world examples. And just to clarify, Alan, your comment when you refer to density issue, I'm just confirming based on your previous comments from prior meetings that you're talking about recognizing the fact that we may need to allow some additional density and or height in certain strategic areas in order to accommodate the growth that we do still have coming. And I know from your past comments that you feel that that's part of the equation to kind of limit sprawl and concentrate growth in areas that can theoretically support it, which is consistent with some of the key elements of the comp plan. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that is accurate,
Yep.
Corey. And along with that, also hopefully to try to stimulate more public transportation.
Right.
Yes, a smaller footprint's important too for land conservation. I mean, yeah, you've got the parking issue, but yeah, if it's supported by mass transit and easier access for pedestrians and bicyclists to get around the town, you're really reducing the impact in terms of land use directly in terms of environmental issues.
Yeah, yeah, just the whole impervious surface that we continue to add and minimize
Exactly.
the amount of filtration we have for rainwater, et cetera.
Exactly.
Yeah. Karen.
Just a question, and my apologies since I wasn't here last time. And tell me if we're going to be discussing this later. In the fully enclosed places of assembly, we've got that tail end.
Oh, you're way ahead.
Okay, just want to check because there were some stipulations with that when that was done and I appreciate the fact that Rick and Alan know more about those clauses than anyone.
Way in the weeds.
Great.
We probably won't ever get there.
Good, all right. It just, you know, it's one of those things that stand out, given how much discussion we had over the, that particular use and when it can come in and, you know, the voter referendum that would need to be passed and all of that. So, okay.
To go
I will
back to
try.
our bus trip last year, I think the apartments in South Portland that we visited, they're 4 stories, aren't they? Maybe 5.
I think they were
I think
fine.
they're
It might be
yeah.
5, yeah.
Okay, the
And-
ones behind Home Depot and
Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
behind
I think
Clark's
there was
Pond. Okay.
6
Corey,
stories.
I was actually thinking, so this group did a bus tour a couple of summers ago, and I was actually thinking it might be a really good tour for council too. Especially when we
Absolutely.
start to get in the details with LD 1829, because like, you know, just walking Route 1, you see so many more things when you're physically there rather than, I mean, Google driving around is good, but sometimes just seeing things and being up close and personal. So I'd actually mention that might be it, and I would be happy to help Tom and Liam put that together for you.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea because some of these density concepts in particular are kind of hard to
Exactly.
visualize in the abstract.
The other thing is,
Well, there was
Great.
there was the apartment
Go ahead, Rachel.
complex in South Portland that had the parking underneath and hidden, so it was taken care of that way.
the other thing though, I think with the work we're doing now and with these 9 things, we didn't have the opportunity to do this when we went on our tour. Now we could go on that tour and say, hey, we're in Falmouth, and that area of Falmouth that Jean Marie referenced, that really is a community town center.
For
area,
Falmouth,
you
it
know.
is, yep.
So that would be a community town for us. So how,
Mm-hmm.
we looked at, we spent a lot of time more on the community town center or neighborhood center areas, but maybe we could, if you did a tour, I'd say go with this grid and see if you can find examples.
Find
of each,
examples of what
you
you
know,
might think, yep,
of well done and slottings for each of these.
or not well done.
Oh, yeah, that's true too. Westbrook has a lot of the mixture on between suburban and neighborhood centers, suburban residential, neighborhood residential as neighborhood centers. Some of those are crap.
Yes.
But they're there and they kind of represent some of the standards that we have, and we can have a look at what's going wrong on those now.
Yes,
So
okay.
excuse me for using the technical term crap.
I would
use
just add on that note, you know, there certainly are examples in Scarborough too where we've sort of missed the mark. So
Oh, yeah.
I think it goes in both directions. So I think that.
No, I'm not slagging on Westbrook in particular. Yeah.
No, I know it. Yeah, I get it.
So part of this, so I feel like we've got those pretty nailed down. So the next part of it is really to start talking about the uses.
By the way, I just want to say, great work on staff for getting this over the course of the last 2 meetings into this shape. We went through a lot of iterations to get here, and I'm really impressed with what the final product is. So I just want to thank you for that.
I'm excited. I live in 4 different places on a regular basis. So I'm like in future land and with you guys, future land with LD 1829 and existing land where I've got to go to ordinance and then what my brain is doing. So there's like all these different things. And I'm trying to use this format to create a use table for all of our existing zoning districts because I have to make some massive changes to add some uses and update daycare and childcare and nursing home definitions and things in January. So I'm trying to make it all like make sense.
Right, right.
So it's been really, I would love to have this as a use table to be able to provide to people, like, here's what you can do in this district. So we're using this format, but.
And Autumn, at some point, could we talk about best practices about where different types of standards should live? Like, you know, in our uses, we have all of these in the existing ordinance. There's all of these, yes, you can do this, but there's like 5 caveats after it. And it feels like that's like not the right place to have those caveats, but I don't know.
Yeah, the way I've got it right now and the what I'm trying to prepare for January is that there's most of the caveats would live in the performance standards, and so I could pull them all into this one section.
Great.
And then the conditions may be kind of the same way. So they're not these
Right. It just
standalone.
makes it confusing.
It gets really confusing.
Okay, thank you.
So what I've done is I've just categorized. I've tried to look at what we've been talking about and then what our zoning district uses talk about. And then for some of these, I haven't gotten too in the weeds, so the check boxes, this first. Oh, yeah.
I don't see. One of them I didn't.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So this first one is just conservation, agriculture and animal husbandry. I'd love to call this commercial farming. The state actually has a definition for commercial farming, that includes what we call animal husbandry and agriculture. But for the purposes of this, I also included, uses commercial plant sales and nursery. We don't have that anywhere in town as a use.
Yeah,
It
that,
seems to be just
that's not too
missing.
broad term. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, that was a comment. Would love that there.
And then I separated out accessory agricultural activities to just be very explicit agritainment, including event venue, so it would just be really clear. And then farm stands and agricultural products. So right,
I'm missing that one too.
it's all just this
No,
conservation.
if you made a handout though, I'd.
Which one?
The one that you've got on the
Oh, here it
screen.
is. This one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go. Appreciate it. Thank you. Alan.
Yep.
So, so again, the 9 districts are at the top, and then based on our check marks, I really just kept most of these. This one is an easier one. I think most of these things are still just allowed in the rural farm activity and then rural residential. And then I put commercial plant sales and nursery in the town center, regional center, and business center, just for conversation's sake. Cause this would be a new, we don't have this use anywhere. And then,
So commercial agriculture and commercial animal husbandry, you would have in the rural residential district.
well, it's there now, so I was wondering
Yeah.
what you all thought about that, like,
'Cause to me, that is the distinctive
Okay.
difference between rural residential and a rural farm activity. Or, yeah, the green and the yellow.
okay, so
Um,
that's kind of a question I wanted to know.
Yeah,
Could you do the private stables maybe in rural residential, but not commercial stables? Is that everybody kind of?
the
on that
3
page?
commercial items are the ones that I would
Got
say,
it.
not in the residential version of rural.
And then would you be okay, like accessory agricultural activities could still happen, that's like.
I guess help me understand that one a little better.
I have to open my definitions, because there's a lot,
Because farm stands, yes,
yeah.
but I just don't know what the accessory agriculture is. We talked sometimes about the John Deere dealership, which I would say.
That's not an accessory,
Okay,
it's
gotcha.
more of a personal agriculture, like you have chickens and things like that.
Or
Or
okay,
bees, or
Or
beekeeping.
bees.
Yeah, that would go in rural residential.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that,
okay.
that one seemed okay.
Yeah, got it.
Ask about the stables.
Oh, Rachel's got her hand up.
Okay, oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Rachel.
where would marijuana go?
I have avoided marijuana altogether for this conversation, just to save myself. Cause we're so conceptual right now, cause I don't wanna spend hours talking about weed.
Yeah, I know.
I forgot to tell, I've totally avoided it. It's allowed, I would just put it in where it is now, once we consolidate.
Yeah.
Cause it's not my favorite topic.
Great.
I agree with you.
We always appreciate when Autumn avoids marijuana before the meetings.
Karen.
Oh, Jean Marie, are you done? Yeah, okay, yeah, just on I'm just making sure I understand the difference between private and commercial stables. If somebody has a barn and they are leasing out, they're taking on a couple of horses that they're leasing out stalls for, is that officially commercial?
Mhm.
Okay, so.
It's in the definitions.
Right, okay, just wanted to, because there's a lot of that.
If you're that's if you're charging for it, so maybe the definitions could get. tweaked.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
but-
less than 2 horses,
Yeah.
because people do that
But
all the
that's,
time just to make it
we
work,
have
I know.
performance standard things,
Yep.
and that's why we have all those weird
Yeah.
conditions now.
But, yeah.
Trying to
there-
make that one person's thing work
Exactly, but there are a lot of people just to keep expenses down, they.
in their own home.
In their,
Yeah.
like, they've got a barn, they keep their own horses, and
Yeah.
they'll keep a couple of other horses.
So.
Yeah, I know a number of people out here who do that. So I
Yeah,
would need to see
it's
that.
typically people who have,
limited.
I
To
think it
me,
goes into
to
four
me,
standards.
yeah.
Typically, people have 4 or less stables.
There you-
They've got 1 or 2 horses of their own and they're leasing out 2 or 3 stables. It's not the people who have 8.
Right.
Those 3 people are
What
never
about
gonna.
5?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
where's that?
Yeah, I know.
And I think
That's
it's,
what I don't know
yeah,
what it is, but
as a horse guy, I think the number is 4.
Yeah.
4 or less becomes,
Are you a horse guy?
yeah,
I did not know that.
yeah.
Oh, wow,
But
I
that-
didn't
that
know
would-
that either.
Okay. 4 or less.
Yeah.
And we can do that with definitions.
Dressage and jumping, yeah, it's, yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's see, we've struck something. And then this next section is the play outside. And for the purpose of this conversation, there's a lot of things that are separated. They could totally be combined together. But this is one of the things in my real life that I have to fix in January with ordinance committee, because we don't actually talk about parks or trails anywhere in our ordinance, zoning ordinance. So we're adding those uses. So, for play outside, we have outdoor recreation, all types, profit, nonprofit, could be in this rural farm activity. And then we have it allowed in rural residential. Is that,
Why not golf club?
I don't care. I mean, that,
It should go 7.
sure, yeah, this is just me like, check, what do you think? I'm not in love or.
Cause I'm kind of inclined, I'd put golf club in both conservation and a rural farm.
Ooh, golf club is like the antithesis of conservation.
Well, there are a lot,
Chemicals and waterways.
there are a lot of,
thing.
there are a lot of non-chemical, there's a whole movement in the golf course industry about not using chemicals and things like that. You're right, your typical country club is a nuclear site, I agree. But even the Willowdale here is pretty good about trying to be on the largely because they're pure runoff into the marsh. So they have regulations in that.
Well, and to be perfectly honest, there's probably not gonna be a lot of golf clubs built, because there's no land.
Correct, yes, that's right.
Well,
But-
you've got the Nonsuch River Golf Course across the street from my house.
Yeah. Mhm.
But new, yeah,
Well, it does raise a question, like, where would we put those today? When we go through the
Yeah.
exercise of now remapping,
Right.
where would we drop Willowdale and Nonsuch?
so maybe.
Because
in
those
our-
also, because that would include driving ranges as well, correct?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
No, that should probably be a separate thing,
Yeah, driving,
Okay,
because it's a lot smaller.
because, driving ranges are much smaller than a golf club and
Well,
certainly
you could have-
something where people can go and hit balls.
You could do like what's that one? Top Golf in like a regional center. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's-
Industrial.
Yeah,
there's the Pleasant Hill driving range where you
Right.
hit balls with the old quarry,
yeah.
floating balls in the old quarry, that's fun.
So the driving range is a good use to add, because
Yeah.
that could be in a lot of different.
I think though, if you
That's a
think about
good one.
that, probably is rural farm activity for, if we think about where we would end up dropping Nonsuch
Okay,
and Willowdale, that's probably where they'd end up going.
but not rural residential.
Not rural residential, yeah.
And could
Okay.
you make rules that if a golf club were to come in, that they'd have to abide by certain conservation measurements, that it couldn't just be, they can't come in and just do whatever they want? I mean, that's just a thought too. When we get into the dirty details on everything.
Yes.
So,
So I've got parks of all types everywhere, and then trails everywhere.
the public parking lots one worries me.
Well, municipal can go everywhere now, but then I put this, that's the part, the accessory to parks and trails. Is that the one?
Well,
Or the-
no, it's the one above it, the municipal parking lots. Should that be everywhere? That seems kind of odd.
Well, we can put wherever we want.
State law allows.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Glad we thought that one through.
You see, and nobody knows that, right? So I think it's like,
Mhm.
we have this use called municipal uses, blah, blah, blah,
Mhm.
they're allowed everywhere. And so,
Well, we include our municipal uses in the 30 for 30
yeah,
calculation too, which is a little odd.
well, not the land that's, yeah. But
Where we store our salt and grit.
I sort of like calling out what things.
Yeah,
can go
that would-
where, so people have a good idea.
Yeah,
Are you all comfortable with accessory to parks and trails, like nonprofit parking lots going places?
Well, I like
That
it
makes
if,
sense.
if they're accessory to parks and trails,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
If they're just random and
Right,
nonprofit,
not a
no,
commercial.
but
And
yeah.
then I did include this commercial parking lot because we don't actually have that in the zoning district either, and that starts to get to like a parking garage, maybe somebody just constructs a parking garage and charges for it, and it's private. We don't have that now. Okay.
How do public parking lots relate to playing outside, though? If you're talking about a paid parking garage.
Well, I included them Portia to start because they were parking lots for parks and trails, and then I thought to myself, oh, I don't also have this other parking lot commercial. Cause like the parking lots the town has, we have beach parking lots and, but you're right, this could almost be a commercial use too. I think that's why you see the check boxes in totally different areas.
Yeah,
where
because
it's-
you have a medical building or something like that, or a hospital where they do charge for parking that would be associated with that use.
Well, that would be their parking lot though. This would be just a
Oh, okay.
standalone.
This could be anybody who could park there.
Accessory to parks and trails, it's sort of the same as above.
Well, no, so this is a public parking lot, commercial is a different use.
Okay,
That's why it is
like a parking garage.
a parking garage,
Okay.
yeah. Like in Biddeford, the parking garage close downtown, it could be a municipal, or it could be, private. I'm just trying to think of where we would want public parking lots. This is another one of those where it comes up a lot when people want to park cars at the beach in their yard. Commercial
Oh,
parking
right.
lot is not an allowed use in residential districts. Doesn't say that anywhere other than it's because if it's not an allowed use, it's prohibited use, right? So I'm trying to work backwards and this is a use and here's where you can do it. And then we would define it. Does that make, and it is weird that it shows up and play outside. It maybe should show up somewhere else,
Yeah.
but it just it triggered me to include
Sure.
it when I was thinking about parking lots for trails. Okay. The next one, I've got it open. The next one we'll talk about is the live one. Guys see that online? Do you all have the right copy?
No, I don't
They're all
Is he? Okay.
live.
I'm good.
You got it?
Yeah.
Rick, do you have it? Okay. So live includes I included housing, residential care, and then lodging. And housing, I basically just have it as single family detached and single family attached and then multifamily. So
Could we take single family detached out of neighborhood center, community center and business center or regional center? Are we allowed to do that?
sure.
Why?
Why would you want to use what is fairly precious land when you're trying to create density, in particular those three versions
Yep.
for a single family detached?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I think this is one where I just copied and pasted checks everywhere and then just sort of started just really.
How,
And you're going down to neighborhood center?
Yeah,
I'd throw it out there, yeah, but, and I asked the question too, like, almost to Rick on this one, are we allowed to do that?
well,
Yes.
yeah,
how,
sure.
Yeah,
How-
okay.
You have to, you're talking about the new legislation that says we have to
Yeah.
have some, yeah. It's
Yeah, as
any
long
type
as
of
it's residential,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
well, I'm just thinking of ADUs. And how does that come into play if you start removing those?
Well, you can have an ADU as a separate use, and we have those allowed everywhere. So you can have with the new law, you can have an ADU to a multifamily unit.
Oh, okay, it's
Yeah,
a
so
separate
you-
line.
And I'm
Gotcha.
thinking this in the zoning context of this is, would we allow a new single family detached? in
No.
this? No,
No.
we shouldn't. There are probably single family detached in the zones that we'll have
Rachel has a hand up.
from that, but
Yeah, I'm thinking of what we have, something that we have at the Downs at the Innovation District. The Innovation District, what is it, lot 50, 51? We have businesses on the first floor and then a series of apartments on the second floor. Now, the assumption is that many of the people in the apartments are going to be working probably at IDEX or close by, but we do have that sort of residential in a business industrial center already.
Well, you've got the residential dwelling unit and mixed use building on it.
He was just talking about taking single family detached, and that is your traditional four wall home.
Yeah,
And so he was thinking, let's take that out because you probably a neighborhood center and like in that, Rachel, that would be a multifamily or a residential dwelling unit and mixed use, but you wouldn't want to put your home back there.
yeah.
Right. Well,
That's
I'm
what-
just looking at the business and industrial center, and the only check that you have
Oh, yeah.
for housing is
Oh.
accessory employee housing.
I probably wouldn't put that area in that, but maybe that innovation district is a weird one because it, to me, is more of a regional, but that's a good idea.
It feels like a cusp.
Uh-huh. It does really. Cause I would almost put the innovation district as a business center, but it is industrial uses, so that's a good catch, Rachel.
And on business there too, maybe we're not there yet, but, extended stay hotels or stay hotels. That sort of hybrid between an apartment building and a hotel and a housing.
I wish we could just not have any more hotels. I'm just gonna say it out loud.
Okay,
A problem.
in Maine, the state with a third of its economy in tourism, probably will have some questions about that, but.
The hotels that we're getting, the brand new ones, they're not tourism.
Oh, yeah, no, I get
Yeah,
that.
they're
It's-
just,
Yeah.
they're public safety nightmares.
Yeah, you read the weekly police report.
Yeah, it's
I-
really unfortunate.
I get it,
Yeah.
but there, I don't know, there's businesses who may want to have extended stay, hotel accommodation available, who would be located in a business and industrial center.
Well, the business and industrial center, it's defined by industrial and manufacturing uses. Buildings may be over 5 stories with an urban industrial character. Serves the town and supports business. Okay. How does everybody feel about
I'm just,
that?
if I'm putting in a manufacturing facility with 400 employees, then I have surge needs occasionally, and I might want an extended, I might want there to be in a reasonable walking distance from my factory, the ability to have flex housing that I don't own.
I'm
So
just gonna,
town lodging, add.
I'm just gonna offer that tucked away in a business and industrial center, that's gonna be even probably
Oh,
a
it's a
worse
yeah.
location. So I don't wanna add it unless anybody else makes me. So
Well, maybe it's accessory, maybe you force them to run it themselves as accessory housing.
I like that better.
Okay,
I'm totally, because we talked about that before, but that extended stay tucked away in an
Yep.
industrial, out of sight, out of mind area,
Yep.
it really.
What is a
accessory
boarding
dwelling
house?
unit, add to business.
So boarding house is where, and there's still a definition in the state statute, but it's where you're providing just a room and no board. It's weird.
So the old
Boarding house.
It's like, yeah, it's really weird.
Gotcha.
It's just where you're renting out more than, there's a number
Like
of rooms.
YMCA type of.
And that's not a hotel, but
No.
it's not a short-term rental.
No, it's like
It's
a,
board.
yeah, it's a weird
Okay.
one.
Was it single room occupancy? No, SROs?
Yeah, I don't think we have any. Do we?
I don't think we have it.
Yeah.
My great grandmother used to run a boarding house in Portland years and years ago. And they used to rent out rooms and provide breakfast. It was sort of like a bed and breakfast, except it was
Bed and breakfast?
Right.
long-term rental. She rented out
Right.
to longshoremen, who worked on the docks,
Mhm.
young guys who, had moved here from Ireland in her case. But anyway, there you go.
Why would you want to not allow senior housing in rural residential?
I would only not allow it because there are no services in rural residential areas and you're sort of isolated. So if you need your, and rural residential is gonna be more on the outskirts. And so you're farther away from the library, the grocery store, all the things that you,
You're
healthcare.
also further away from public safety.
That exactly portion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
I may have it wrong, because out on 22, close to the Buxton line, there is a development that recently went in there that I thought was senior housing, individual units. But, you know, an over 55 only area, and I'm pretty sure that's, well, it might not be rural residential, it might just be rural.
In 22?
Yeah,
Yeah,
out
no,
of 22.
I know what you're talking about. It used to be the trailer park in there. I shouldn't use that term, but, and they've reconverted it to 55
Oh,
plus
Crystal's,
housing.
Crystal
Yeah,
Springs?
Crystals.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's
called,
over
yeah.
55.
Yeah.
That's not senior house, that's just single family. It's
I
just
thought it was
restricted.
55
This-
plus.
It is, but this whole idea of senior housing, probably the use needs to go away.
Yeah.
Because it's not really a use, it's single, if you deed restrict land. I think we used to have senior housing, and I apologize, I've done some other work on this list as I go through state statute definitions. Cause really, what we called senior housing for the purpose of our zoning ordinance is a level of assisted living.
Gotcha.
And that's why
Okay.
it was a different thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that is just single family residential. We don't
Okay.
regulate where.
Yeah.
So there's no services whatsoever. So yeah, that could still go.
I appreciate that, I'm
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
It's kind
yeah.
of like the condo thing. We don't regulate condos, right?
Yeah,
Right.
and
What type?
that's some cleanup in our words, in our
Yeah.
definitions.
Well, this to me points out the need for making sure our definitions are clear, because it'll make it
Yeah.
easier for planning board and Board of Appeals to deal with things, ZBA and whatever, so.
What I might suggest actually is, and I'm not sure the right way to do this, I'm sure Piper Shores, and I'll look at it from Cedars, which is Portland out here, but Piper Shores is part of a one or many elder care associations. And the definitions of what is assisted living, independent living, enhanced assisted living, skilled nursing, limited nursing, those definitions are in flux a bit. But we should probably try to map to what the industry is using.
Yeah.
For those, for the resident, I'm thinking of, for the residential care and also for the housing elements that have a senior
So
component to it.
this is the definition of an assisted living facility, and this is the current definition. So I have to get, in 2 weeks' time, when I give you these agendas, I do a lot of other work. And I haven't updated, so I'm working from old spreadsheets, but I actually have new spreadsheets now, and they have different uses. So I just wanna get your, I just need general feedback from you guys, not like
Okay.
super weedy, like, are they generally, are you good with this, the sort of scale of housing and where it can go and, because like daycares, they're allowed, there's a level now that's allowed in every zoning district, so this is gonna look different. But camping, I'd rather get down to like camping and tenting. Are you guys okay with, we've talked about that a lot last time in the rural farm activity area? Does that make sense anywhere else?
Oh, sorry, I just want to go back to family daycare homes for a second. The family daycare homes,
That-
don't worry about it.
Nope. Okay, so now there's not a family daycare, so now there's childcare centers and there's other things.
Okay, just some of the smaller ones probably should be in maybe suburban residential.
Well, that's why I just said the state law changed it, so they have to be, like, it's like a new LD that I have to update.
Okay,
But just for, I was talking about earlier, there's this commercial farming definition in state law that to me is clearer and easier than our animal husbandry and all that stuff.
Right.
And then, community living arrangement is an interesting one that's in definition, But I don't have to include it as a use, it's just allowed, but it really gives people, if these people are starting to ask us more of these questions, and I don't think we've updated these uses since the nineties. And so daycare center facilities goes away, and now we have, family child care provider. So there's different words and different definitions and ages. There was another definition somebody was asking me about, earlier. I also took harness racing facility off because we don't have those anymore. But even hospice has a different definition. So like included in this area, hospice is only allowed in neighborhood center, community center, and regional center. Does that seem appropriate?
Well, we've had this covered before. There's the hospice facility over off of Maple Ave, which
Bourbon, yeah.
which has been very successful, and it's been pointed out, it doesn't produce traffic.
Sure.
You know, it's one of those things where
Okay.
I would feel comfortable being in suburban and neighborhood.
Okay, said that.
Rural, again, you get back to the public safety access,
Right.
so.
Well, there's a difference in terms of hospice and a care facility and yet administrative. Now, I'm assuming that the administrative offices on one would be sufficient since it's Southern Maine Hospice, but you might have somebody else come in and want to provide small hospice care. Maine Health, for instance, might come in and say, gee, we'd like to have a hospice care facility. And I think that the direct care is very appropriate in residential areas. Again, no traffic, and needs to be near accessible facilities, but administrative is different than simply the hospice care, the direct care.
I was gonna show you guys that we have this other use, and I didn't include it yet. It's called lodging house. And it's a building and 3 or more rooms are rented, and this one is the no table board. But we only allow it in B2 and B3, and it's kind of a weird use. Like, why would you allow that in our general business and our regional business districts?
Maybe this
Was there
falls,
some sort of weird history?
not sure if Corey's still there or not. I think that he's a black box, but Corey said that one of the goals is for the town this year is gonna be short-term rentals. Maybe we say that part of that should be cleaning up the definitions in this regarding the various short-term rental categories. Which would include lodging house, I guess. 'Cause
That's a weird.
yeah,
I can't imagine us putting a lodging house in B2 or B3. And we don't have anything, so I don't feel like.
I don't know what a lodging
Why-
house is. I mean,
It's just it's a,
and in which no table board is furnished.
you're just renting out rooms.
Yeah.
The only thing.
Some of these-
That's like that's your boarding house. That's the old
Yeah,
definition.
Yeah.
Well,
Some of these
well,
sound sort of anachronistic. I will say, and I
Yes.
agree with, to agree with what Jean Marie said earlier, I think,
yeah,
and to your point, Peter, that the definitions really are key. And we certainly have had certain members of the community who have raised questions around short-term rentals, around kind of what's the fundamental difference between, a short-term rental, a bed and breakfast, other forms of what we typically consider lodging, and is it appropriate for them to be allowed in residential zones? And so, Autumn's talked about, there's going to be an ongoing effort to clean some of that up, but the definitions will be important.
I'm just gonna jump in here. I'm sorry, but just to let you know that there's some state on the legislative level. There's some impetus to restart so-called boarding and lodging, what we used to call boarding houses and lodging houses. Boarding, the difference between the two being boarding, they provide meals. Lodging being it's just the room. But there's some thinking in the legislature as part of this whole housing issue with the state, that the state may be saying, yeah, you need to be allowing these. I have to admit, I've got to read 1829. I wasn't paying attention to it last session, but just so we'll know. And I'm not too sure there isn't something that's a carryover, but I'll let you guys know because I'm now getting back into the LPC stuff for the counties, so.
Gotcha. It just in general, it just feels like we're circling multiple words for, the Venn diagram is not settling in my mind.
Yeah, we could, and we could. The part of the problem is that some of our districts have certain words and other districts have
Yeah.
certain words and the words. And so it is all in the definition. So we could definitely.
Maybe if staff could anchor us for a set of definitions.
Mhm.
And we can vet those or you can just impose them on
But
us.
even, okay, even if you have the definition, do you care where a boarding house goes? Like if people stay in a place where you're renting rooms, do you have a difference in opinion about?
That in a lodging house
Yeah,
where they
like
get
you-
food?
probably
Or is that
not.
the lodging house, Jean Marie, they don't have food, the boarding house, they do get food?
Yeah,
That's what
That's,
she
that's
said.
the old fashioned, definition of the two, yes.
I kind of don't care.
Board being, remember you say bed and board? Well, bed is the bed you sleep in and board is
Right,
the
okay.
food you get,
Oh,
so.
got it.
but then a bed and breakfast, you have to, our definition
Yeah.
live there, so or there's a person present in the.
In
And
some of the in
I-
some of the boarding houses, it was breakfast and dinner. The old fashioned boarding houses, it was, you rent a room, you
Kind of matters more
get
how many,
breakfast, go off to work, come back and get your dinner and go to bed.
as I think of it, it kind of matters more, where do I care where we put these, is the number of units.
So what I can see is there's certain employers like IDEX and Maine Health and all of those who have such um, a great number of people coming in and out, particularly Maine Health with their visiting doctors or their training programs. I could see at some point, yeah, that's where you might have a boarding house or a lodging house is, you could easily do that on the Maine Health campus to help out. But, to thread that needle is a challenge. It seems like you want to allow the employers to have some transitional housing for their new or temporary employees, but what does that look like and where do you draw the line?
Well, let's add accessory employee housing to the regional center
There you go.
and maybe the town center.
Yeah, because
And again, all these,
I was
I'm
gonna say,
sorry.
I remember some discussion with some hotel and I could be dreaming here, but some hotel that wanted to come in by Cabela's, and I don't know what's going on with that. And one of their thoughts was having some employee housing there because there's no housing around, it's hard to get employees and have some employee housing. And I can't remember now if it was gonna be like temporary while they're working their shifts or I don't know, but that was one of the concepts that came up, and this was a year or more ago. Rachel's got her hand up.
Yeah, the hotel, can't remember the name it's under now, the hotel on Mussey Road. That was built with a specific customer base in mind of visiting nurses. Those folks coming into Maine Med. So that was part of the discussion and the customer base. I can't remember what the Cabela's place wanted, but the new hotel mile away, whatever it is, near Sebago Brewing, that also they're advertised as long stay. Almost semi-apartments, except the kitchens are crap. But that I'm borrowing Peter's word. That they're really not suites. They've just used the name and are encouraging people to stay a longer time rather than somebody coming in for a vacation and then leaving. But the assumption in these hotels are the people are going to be there for 6, 8, 10 weeks for whatever business purposes they've pulled in. So there's no real difference in the structure between a Homewood Suites and one of the Whileaways. It's simply how it's marketed, really.
Again, I come back to the driver for where I place that comes down to the number of units more than anything else.
Okay, that makes sense.
Just a minor question. Next to accessory employee housing,
Uh-huh.
you've got 2 asterisks. But I don't see what,
Oh, I think it's probably just a note for me that that would be something you would have to add performance standards for. It wouldn't just be like this,
I just was looking for where that led you to. I didn't see it.
just in here,
Okay.
just a note. Sometimes I highlight things, sometimes I put stars. Ellen's laughing because she's like, Autumn does this. Like, where's the asterisk? I'm like, "It's in my head. Like a note to add something to.
It's in the filing system.
Yes, all right. Do you,
I'm sorry, did we add, did we put accessory employee housing in any other?
I put it in
category?
community
Thank
and
you.
regional center. And then I put hospice care and suburban residential and neighborhood residential. And then I personally think for this hypothetical future, the world is a better place zoning district, we should include boarding house, lodging, and short-term rentals and bed and breakfast, probably in better definitions, and then maybe they might all pretty much be in the same place that they're located. Cause I don't know if you would, other than, yeah, so we'll have to work on that. But it seems to be the number of units is that, like a bed and breakfast, to me, you could have in a rural residential area.
Yeah,
Cause it's kind of that setting.
well, and you can have it in a rural farm activity area.
Exactly, but in a boarding house. Or lodging, I don't know, are you, you probably should be closer to
To the
services,
Yeah, exactly.
so. So I'm thinking lodging and boarding will be together. And we'll take that out of the first 3 districts. And then short-term rentals is gonna come out of a conversation we have on another project.
And again, if we have boarding house and lodging house, then what does short-term rentals become, which is really, can I rent out a room in my house?
Well, short-term rentals is less than 28 days. That's the definite, it's a different use, so it's renting for less than 28 days.
Well, again, though, if we get to clean definitions, one of then do we have a short-term rental thing? And this actually, does this go in the zoning code anymore? Lodging and boarding houses and single-family homes would go in the zoning ordinance. Short-term rentals would go somewhere else.
I think short-term rentals is gonna live in the zoning ordinance, maybe.
Yeah,
Cause it depends on where the conversation goes with council, but I just included it so we could have this conversation.
yeah, because again, that creates real problems from a zoning board perspective, because a house can become a short-term rental.
Well, a house,
Like me living in my house can become a short-term rental randomly. And it was built that way, and if the permit that I get, the code enforcement officer won't be in a position to regulate that at the time of the
well,
building.
that's the whole different conversation, but right now, short-term rentals are allowed at all houses
Yeah, well,
across town.
this came up when the short-term rental thing came before us to consider. And again, my strong view on that one is that's not a zoning issue. That's something else. That's an economic activity restriction,
Mm.
which great, we can
When
do it.
did you ever?
This came 3 or 4, actually, it's like probably 6 months ago. You brought this before us. You wanted us to consider the short-term rental ban.
Oh, no, I didn't want you to consider a ban. I wanted you to look at my registration ordinance to review it.
Yes.
You were talking about Board of Appeals and I got really confused, sorry.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing, you brought it here, and my objection was, if we put it in the zone.
Yes.
It will come before the zoning board, and we can't.
No, it would never, if I put it in the zoning ordinance, it would never come before the zoning board of appeal for anything. It would be a use. So that was the problem. So we had it outside. I don't even know if I want.
Yeah,
to
no,
talk about
exactly,
this.
I would like to follow up with Corey though on this, Corey, could we follow up on this in terms of the short-term rentals and sort of the zoning implications of that?
think you should be involved, I'm sorry,
Sure.
Corey, I don't want to speak for you. I think you should be involved in a different process than I'm working on in February with ordinance committee.
Yeah, that'd be
Follow
fine.
that.
That'd be fine.
I'm not bringing anything
I'm
like
good with
that.
that.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah,
There you go.
good with that.
Autumn, one other use, and I don't know where
Uh-huh.
it falls, is the residential with services, either mental health or addiction or anything like that. Does that fall in a different category? than
It
residential?
does.
Okay, great.
I included it on my new and improved list.
Okay,
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, cause I
It's like
think,
addiction facility services, I think is what it's called.
cause you've got the daycare facilities, which often are things like addiction and things, but.
They're
also-
not, no,
But yeah.
Yeah.
The overnight stuff is different, so.
yes. Okay,
I'm just looking at time.
yeah, I don't think we can get any further.
Oh, resident, one last thing, live work unit and home occupation.
Uh-huh,
Home occupation, I think, goes across all of
oh yeah, I think it does too, that's probably just.
them, yeah.
And then live work unit, if that seems good, neighborhood residential.
I think that makes sense, yeah. But especially in 2025, home.
And,
Hold on.
and our definition of a live work unit is not a real live work unit. Right? We give people sort of grace and a getaway, it's a get out of jail card for area. But a live work unit is really two distinct
right.
units.
Yeah.
Downstairs, upstairs, upstairs, downstairs. There's two different egress between.
Mhm.
They may have a connection door, but there's two. And we like to say, oh, a home office. And by we, I say my office, but that'll probably change.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna work on that definition too.
Autumn, yeah, with live work, I would imagine the work part as a separate unit would come under different state regulations than the live part.
Mm,
So you'd have egress, public safety concerns, fire, all that
Yeah.
with the work location. So that
It's like a
makes a
different, and
definite.
you would, yeah, and you would have to build it to commercial building
Yeah.
standards rather than residential.
Right.
I'm thinking more of you're doing your job remotely.
Yeah, that's,
Or you're an
Not a-
accountant that runs your account, so
I don't think.
That's not a live work unit.
yeah.
A live work unit is like you're a potter that lives above a pottery.
Yeah,
studio.
that's
That is
what-
the-
You're
Yeah.
a psychologist.
Yeah.
You have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you have like,
Insurance companies.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah.
This is just working.
And then home occupation, home occupation is on the list to review home occupation uses and requirements.
I was saying, home
And-
occupation does fall under if you have a certain, you do have to come to the zoning board to get the special use approved.
Not to just sit in your upstairs bedroom and work on your computer.
No, but if you said had patients coming in as an.
That's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like there should probably,
Correct, yeah, but no, yeah.
yeah, like a home
Or more specific.
occupation with no. Should just be a fire, but we even require a little bit of stuff for,
Again, if you read it, we do require some stuff on it, but
Yeah.
we just don't enforce.
yeah, it gets really,
Yeah,
it's kind of.
so we should look at that, but it's,
Absolutely. That's in the comp plan. Look
Yeah.
at the home
Yeah,
occupation.
so there may be some different
Yeah.
levels to that, like
Exactly.
if you're having visitors or something.
Yeah, we have live work units off of Highland Avenue.
But,
I think there's
but Rachel, those are
5
not
units,
really.
that's about
live work.
it. But that's how they were advertised. That's how they were presented to the planning board. And
And they were,
the assumption was
Uh,
that it might be counselors, dietitian, that there would be people coming in and out, and that there really wasn't a big distinction between a house with a sort of an office attached and a live work. In other words, the downstairs for these facilities had a kitchen that belonged to the house and a small bathroom, and then a place for something, some sort of work. And the rest of the house, the rest of the facility was on the second floor, and that was the living room, the bathroom, and the bedrooms. So they're kind of a strange mixture. I don't know how it's turned out Autumn, do you know if they've actually got any of those built and rented?
No, and Rachel, that's that loophole, because they just do that so they can get a bigger unit and use the density factors. I mean, honestly, so it's just a loophole, and our zoning and ordinance allows it, and so they're probably not really gonna have any live working happening. They just use that definition because they can.
All right, I'm gonna go to one of our last items on the agenda, and that is member comments. I'm gonna start with people not here, and Portia, I'll start with you and then Rachel afterwards.
Well, unfortunately, I was unable to, well, I guess transportation is Peter's anyway. I was unable to attend that last meeting. I really don't have anything at this point,
Okay, thank you.
except to
Rachel,
say
then I'll. Oh,
good luck. I understand we're celebrating you two today, you and Rick.
Okay.
I was like, it's on my agenda, Alan. You skipped my line.
Oh, no. Oh, no. So, after, Rachel, I'll go to Jean Marie.
Okay, by coincidence, on Monday, the planning board takes a look at Arby's at the Little Dolphin Drive. We also are taking a look for, I don't know, the 8th or 9th time at the Tower Lot subdivision off of Elmwood. It is a conservation subdivision, and that it's called the Tower Lot because it has a cell phone tower right in the middle of it. There's the Mariners hockey rink is before us again, along with a site plan for the restaurant, which is going to be separate but right next to the Mariners. This is going to be a really long meeting. There are a couple of amendments, site amendments that are minimal. The one that I've actually not had a chance to thoroughly review is Alpha Management requesting a sketch plan, which involves the redevelopment of a site for a multi-use building. And it is on 6 Adams Way, which is right in the middle of Oak Hill. So, Autumn, could you fill us in just a little bit on what that is?
Sure. Yeah, you guys, so in the Oak Hill development, there's an old dance studio back there behind by the car wash. So they're proposing to take down the dance studio and build a 4-story, 45-foot tall, building with, mixed use on the bottom, like office retail space on the bottom, and 18, units of affordable housing on the top 3 stories.
Cool.
So yeah.
All right, we also
Redevelopment
have off of Broad Turn Road, we also have 10 units of affordable housing, 2 buildings, 5 units per building.
Oh, in Dunstan.
That's down at off of Broad Turn right at Dunstan. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming up. I
It's in
also want
Dunstan
to say that
Crossing. Yeah.
I also want to say this
Oh,
is
sorry,
my last,
Rachel.
because I'm coming off the planning board. So come January, you will see a new liaison.
Okay.
Thank you.
And thank you for having joined us, Rachel.
It's always interesting, and sometimes actually fun.
Jean Marie, and then I'll go to Corey.
Yeah, I don't have anything to report on other than the Housing Alliance. We did talk about those 10 units that Rachel just mentioned Chamberlain's doing in the Great American Neighborhood for affordable housing. And I will tell you, we were thrilled that they're finally getting to it 20 years later. What can I say? But other than that, I was going to say congratulations for getting off the long range planning. That's not the right word. Thank you so much for your service, all of you, because I know, through my years on the council, all the time that you guys, Paul, and Rick have put in. And I certainly appreciate everything you've done. I was against the term limits, but I wasn't on the council, so I didn't have a vote on it. And then Rachel, thank you for your service also. And I want to wish everyone a happy holidays. That's it for
Thank
me.
you. All right. Counselor Fellows, if you would please.
Thank you. As mentioned, we're embarking on our goal setting. We had the meeting with senior staff earlier this week. We're assembling input from groups like this, and we greatly appreciate it. We're doing that workshop on January 10th, which is a Saturday, and we'll be moving forward. We have all of our committees and council liaisons now designated for the coming year. Policy wise, certainly a big focus continues to be LD 1829. There's been at least I wouldn't say movement necessarily, but definitely a lot of discussion. Councillor Kane and I actually had the opportunity to talk directly with Speaker Fecto at a GP-COG event the other night after I slipped on the ice and broke my hand on the way in, but it was well worth it. And it sounds like there could be some corrective legislation moving forward. The devil's in the details, certainly. Autumn and Tom have been actively involved in that. Council is going to be coming out likely with a proclamation fairly soon, and we'll also probably be signing on to more kind of a joint statement that will come from some other towns, using some language that's based on some GP-COG draft language that various towns have contributed to. So stay tuned on that. I don't think we're under any illusions that it's going to be reversed, but there could be some meaningful changes that could restore some of our ability to regulate certain things and to kind of maintain our planning vision. I definitely want to add my voice to those appreciating everyone who's kind of terming off. And Alan, I've known you since back when you were chairing the planning board, and you were a great role model there as a member and a chair, and it's been an honor serving with you there and here. And Rachel, similarly, on the planning board, and all your support over the years. And Rick, you've been a really strong, valuable voice in this capacity and elsewhere. So best of luck to you. I wish I could be there in person to shake your hands, but I'm sure I'll have an opportunity at some point. And happy holidays.
Thank you. Peter.
Gotcha. I'll cover zoning board's come a few times. We remain nervous about our what we will be able to or not able to do under LD 1829, especially as we approach the time of year where a lot of seasonal applicants or a lot of seasonal owners come with various applications for next year. But we just don't know. So we're waiting to get some guidance on what we can and can't do. So we also said goodbye to Brian, our chief code enforcement officer. Brian's retiring as of the end of the year, and we will miss him. He's been a great resource and a great mentor to all of us on the zoning board in his time here. So we appreciate his time. In transportation, there's two things, but really the big one is the metro project. And if you come down to town hall, you'll see some poster boards around how to think about their current planning for a route that will connect South Portland, primarily South Portland and Scarborough, and then also how to input for where stops should be located or the whole process for what a new route will look like, and that will include some of the planning around the and I can't think of the name right now. It's the part of the plan to roll out for Scarborough is to roll out a point-to-point system where the micro transit, where when you can call up and get a ride to either a main center, a proper transit stop, or to something else in town. So Metro is looking for feedback as part of this, and they want as much public feedback as they could get. And I definitely got the impression that they're viewing the amount of public feedback as an indicator of how successful the rollout is going to be. So yeah, encourage everyone to come down, check out the poster boards, and be a part of that process. There's a QR code to scan in, and there's a survey as well.
And it's open till the end of the month.
That's right. Yep. That's about it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Rick?
Well, first of all, thanks everyone for the kind words for those of us that are stepping down. I do have a point of clarification, however. I thought you said at the last meeting that we couldn't actually stop coming to these meetings until,
Yeah, you can't stop until.
so we still technically we're off, but we're.
I really wish Alan would have let me go first.
Oh,
So mad
I
at
could. I was gonna say I had a feeling she was going to
Yeah?
put indentured servitude.
Right, exactly.
So
That was at the last meeting.
I was looking forward to that.
Thank you. I have nothing else.
okay. Well, by all means.
All the nice things we said still count.
I don't know, I'm gonna do yours, I'll do Rick first. So on behalf of the town and all of us, we wanted to provide you this. I wanna read this though. Rick has served on the Long Range Planning Committee from 2007 to 2025, the SEDCO Board from 2013 to 2025. Comprehensive Plan Update Committee was the chair from 2004 to 2006, and Planning Board chair from 1995 to 2003. So it is not lost on us, the service that you have given to the town, and I've really enjoyed working with you, and yes, you are required to continue to. Thank you.
First off,
Yay.
And even though I'm a little mad at you for not letting me go first. So Alan Paul, I too appreciate, and we all appreciate. So Alan, Long Range Planning Committee Chair at Large, 2008 to 2020-25. Long Range Planning Committee Planning Board Liaison, 2009 to 2017. Transportation Committee Long Range Planning Committee Rep, 2022 to 2025. SEDCO Board, 2018 to 2025. And Planning Board, 2006 to 2014. So again, it is not lost on us the amount of service and time and days of your life that you have dedicated to Scarborough, and we really appreciate it. And I'm not really mad.
Thank you.
And you two are required to come.
Yeah.
actually, not on that is also his service to the Board of Trustees of the library. Which I don't know the years, but he was on that and was as a library trustee now, someone who roped me into doing it, but also mentored me as on a number of these committees. I want to personally thank you, Alan. It's been a real pleasure to work underneath you.
You are very welcome. Do you have anything else?
Snacks.
Ah.
Oh.
Snacks. Are you at home?
Be online.
We're gonna, can we adjourn and then we can eat snacks?
Yeah,
Oh, wait,
sure.
wait.
Well, I've got Karen and Helen, and I've got a couple of things I'd like to say. I'm not gonna leave it out.
I just wanted to say, it's been my pleasure to work with you guys, both of you, both on the SEDCO board and this board for a really long time. I won't say how long, but a really long time. And the knowledge that you guys bring to the table. Autumn is right. You know, we need you guys to, particularly when we start talking about some of the uses, the casino discussion, all of that, we need your history. We need you to come back and be part of the audience and talk about it from, just some of the historical discussions, because you guys have more institutional memory. I hate that term, but you have more knowledge of what has happened in the town and why things happened. That's really important for us to know as we move forward. And so I can't thank both of you enough for all you've done. And just how pleasant and positive you guys are. And that's really important too for us as staff as we work through things, you know, knowing that we can count on you guys. Okay, I gotta stop now.
Helen,
Yes. First of all, congratulations and thank you for all of your service, Alan, Rick. And Rachel, I'm excited to see you on Monday as well. Rachel covered the planning board update, so I don't have too much. I'll just add, for zoning board, Brian is retiring, our code enforcement officer, and I'm staffing zoning board to help fill the gaps as we look for his replacement. And I think Autumn will be joining for a bit of that. And as we kind of, work that out in his absence, because he knows a lot and he will be missed. So yeah, but that's on the update.
Our assessor is the.
Yes, he is moving to Waterville to be the manager.
Right on town, man.
well, just real quickly, I will say that this all started back in 2004 because of Sue August. I went to Sue and complained one day about what was going on with the planning board. And she told me I can't say anything more until I join. So it's been a ride since then. I also, Rick and I have been doing things together for a long time. And I appreciate all your guidance and expertise there. You've always been a person who's been, I don't want to say quiet, but when you speak, it's always been very informative, effective, and necessary. So thank you for that. I also want to say to this committee and recommend highly that at your next meeting in January, whether Rick and I are here or not, you should elect new chair and vice chair.
Well, we won't have a full committee.
But somebody's gonna need to lead that committee, and I
Well, if they show up, a lot of them is voting.
don't think it would be me, but
In January, February, you won't be off technically. I won't probably have an appointed person until March.
We
okay,
have some people that are.
It has to go through a process too, so appointments committee has to first meet in January, and then they have to take it through 2 readings at council, so.
But there's no applications in Tony's inbox that
I
are.
haven't seen any new ones. No. The town clerk handles all that, and then once they get them all in, they'll send them out to me, and I haven't seen that yet.
So it's business as usual for us. even though
Correct. Right. We're celebrating you, but.
The firm, the firm had a retirement party, they had others that stepped down as full-time lawyers a year ago. And we're still fans.
Yes, yes. We did the same thing with conservation the other night. Pete Slavinsky is terming out after a 20-year stint. But my last words were, we'll see you next month.
yeah. So I do also want to say it has been great. I've been on multiple committees over the years. This committee is the one that I feel the best about, having been on. It has been the ability to get a lot done behind the scenes and to be part of a lot of the changes in town. So I've really enjoyed being on this committee. And my wife and I also want to express to everyone to have a happy holiday season, and to thank you all for this ride.
Thank you.
Oh,
We need to adjourn. Oh, I don't know when the date of the next, yes, I do.
Okay.
Next
Very nice.
meeting is January the 9th. And chair will accept.
A motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Second,
A second. Thank you, Rick. All in favor? See raised hands everywhere. Thank you very much and take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.
In